The story of Cody Brown isn't just about a man with multiple wives. It's about the shocking consequences of ego, poor decisions, and a life built on appearances. Behind the cameras of sister wives, a reality many viewers never see is unfolding. A tale of financial struggles, family tension, and relationships pushed to the breaking point. Cody, once celebrated as the confident patriarch of the Brown family, is now at the center of controversy, not for the love of polygamy, but for choices that have left his family divided and his legacy in question. Cody Brown's name has been synonymous with the Brown family's unique polygamist lifestyle, but in recent years, that image has begun to crack. Known for his commanding presence, lavish displays of wealth, and controlling tendencies, Cody has long held himself up as the head of the household. He is a man used to being in charge, a man whose decisions shaped the lives of 4 wives and more than a dozen children. Yet, the very traits that once defined his authority are now raising questions and fueling whispers among fans. How did a life that seemed so successful on television become one marked by resentment, estrangement, and financial uncertainty? The truth, as revealed by insiders like his daughter Madison, paints a picture far different from the polished image fans see on screen. Behind the smiling cameras, there are reports of reckless spending, get-rich-quick schemes gone wrong, and favoritism that left some wives and children feeling sidelined and unsupported. The tensions are not small. They cut deep, leaving emotional scars and opening cracks in relationships that have taken decades to build. And as Cody clings to his lifestyle and legacy, many wonder, how long before the consequences of these choices catch up to him? Hello everyone, I'm Sarah, and welcome to my channel. If you love uncovering the real stories behind your favorite reality shows, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss a single update. And I want to hear from you. After listening to today's story, drop a comment with your thoughts on Cody Brown. Do you think he can turn things around, or has the damage gone too far? Today, we're going to explore everything, from Cody's financial missteps to the impact on his ex-wives and children, and how the world of sister wives has changed because of one man's choices. What you're about to hear isn't speculation. It's based on real accounts and revelations from the family themselves. Get ready, because this story is not just about money or fame. It's about family, trust, and the price of unchecked pride. The truth behind the cameras is far more intense than anything you've seen on TV, and it's about to be laid bare. Before Sister Wives ever hit television screens, Cody Brown's life was far from the glamorous image fans have come to associate with him. Behind the facade of a large, happy family was a reality of financial uncertainty and risky choices that would ripple through the Brown household for decades. According to his daughter Madison, much of the family's financial instability didn't begin with the fame or money from the show. It began long before the cameras arrived. Cody's early career was anything but stable. He worked as a salesman, earning a respectable living, but his ambitions and mindset often led him down paths that promised quick rewards but rarely delivered. Madison has shared that her father repeatedly pursued get-rich-quick schemes, investing in ventures that sounded exciting but were poorly thought out. Money that could have been saved or managed responsibly was often spent immediately on new ideas or luxury items. Tax refunds were rarely saved. They were spent the moment they came in. It wasn't about planning for the future. It was about chasing the next opportunity, hoping for a sudden windfall. This approach created tension not only in financial terms, but also within the family dynamic. While some members, like Madison's husband Caleb, came from households where careful budgeting, saving, and financial responsibility were the norm, Cody's choices often clashed with those values. Where others saw security and planning, Cody saw restriction and missed opportunity. That difference in mindset wasn't just about money. It became a source of friction, particularly as his children grew older and began to see the consequences of his decisions firsthand. Madison recalls feeling frustrated and helpless at times, watching her father make decisions that seemed short-sighted or impulsive. It wasn't just the money lost. It was the pattern of behavior that suggested Cody was unwilling or unable to take criticism, adapt, or learn from mistakes. This pattern would have long-term consequences, not only for the Brown family's financial stability, but also for trust and communication within the household. Spending was often prioritized over saving, and impulsive investments sometimes left the family struggling to cover necessities, despite the growing size of the family and eventual fame from reality TV. These early financial habits set the stage for what would later appear on television as tension and drama. But the roots went deeper than what fans could see. The disparity between Cody's spending and the practical needs of the family created ongoing challenges. Madison has made it clear that the family often had to navigate scarcity, even as Cody appeared confident and in control. The image of the strong patriarch, capable of providing for his large family, masked the reality of a man whose financial decisions frequently created instability, stress, and uncertainty. It's also important to note how this affected relationships. Wives, children, and even extended family members felt the impact of these choices. Arguments over money, resentment over impulsive spending, and frustration over unequal treatment became part of the family's daily reality. The seeds planted in those early years, spending over saving, prioritizing appearances, and taking unnecessary financial risks, would continue to influence family dynamics for decades. They shaped Cody's relationships with his wives, altered his children's perceptions of security, and eventually contributed to the public controversies that would surround him on Sister Wives. In many ways, Cody's pre-show financial struggles weren't just about the numbers. They were about patterns of behavior, attitudes toward responsibility, and the consequences of a man who often valued control and immediate gratification over prudence and fairness. These early habits created a foundation for instability, leaving long-lasting effects on the family's finances, emotional well-being, and ultimately, the image of the Brown family that the world would come to see on television. Cody's financial story begins here, before the fame, before the cameras, and before the family's public life. It's the hidden backstory that explains so much of the tension and challenges that followed. Cody Brown's life has always been defined by polygamy, but behind the surface of multiple marriages lies a web of tension, favoritism, and emotional strain that few viewers get to see. His relationships with Mary, Janelle, Christine, and Robin were never equal, and the effects of that imbalance ripple through the family even today. Among the four wives, Robin, his youngest, quickly became the focus of Cody's attention, often receiving more time, resources, and emotional support than the others. While favoritism might seem minor in a typical household, in the Brown family, it became a source of jealousy and resentment that never truly healed. Mary, Janelle, and Christine all faced the difficult reality of being seen as secondary, and it created a dynamic filled with unspoken tension. Arguments over attention, fairness, and recognition were frequent. Cody's tendency to insist on control, to dictate how the household operated, and to prioritize his own desires left little room for compromise or shared decision-making. Wives who once trusted him to be a fair partner found themselves navigating a life where their voices were minimized, their needs often overlooked, and their concerns dismissed. Emotional distance grew as a natural response to repeated neglect, creating rifts that became difficult to mend. The children too felt the strain. When a parent shows favoritism, it rarely goes unnoticed by their offspring. And in the Brown household, the impact was magnified. Some children gravitated toward Robin simply because she was the focus of Cody's attention, while others struggled to find their place, caught between resentment, loyalty, and confusion. The uneven distribution of time and affection didn't just cause immediate hurt, it planted seeds of long-term tension, leaving relationships fractured and communication strained. Cody's unwillingness to accept criticism further complicated matters. Wives who tried to point out issues in finances, parenting, or household decisions often met defensiveness or anger. Madison, his daughter, has shared that her father didn't enjoy having a mirror held up to him. This refusal to reflect on his actions made constructive dialogue nearly impossible. Instead of working toward compromise, Cody doubled down on his authority, reinforcing a household dynamic where his perspective always dominated. Over time, frustration turned into resignation. Wives who once engaged with him fully began to pull away, emotionally protecting themselves from repeated disappointment. Control issues were common too. Decisions about the home, property, and finances were often unilateral, leaving the other wives feeling powerless. Whether it was disputes over shared property, spending choices, or household responsibilities, Cody's approach prioritized his own preferences, leaving little room for collaboration. Even minor disagreements could escalate, leaving lasting emotional scars. Over the years, the tension built quietly but consistently, shaping the family into a network of careful negotiations, avoided confrontations, and unspoken resentment. The human cost of this dynamic is significant. What began as a lifestyle choice, polygamy, became a source of pain and emotional strain. Wives experienced feelings of inadequacy and marginalization. Children grew up witnessing favoritism and conflict, and the family unit as a whole struggled under the weight of imbalance. The story of Cody Brown's marriages is more than a tale of multiple relationships. It's a story of how one person's unchecked ego and need for control can ripple outward, affecting every heart and mind within the household. The emotional fallout is as real and lasting as any financial consequence, and it serves as a reminder that decisions made behind closed doors often have deeper, invisible effects than the world ever sees on screen. Even after years on television, the contrast between Cody Brown's life with Robin and the experiences of his ex-wives is striking. While Cody and Robin enjoy a lifestyle filled with luxury and apparent ease, Mary, Janelle, and Christine face a far more complicated reality after leaving the marriage. The differences are impossible to ignore. Cody's life appears carefully curated for the cameras, filled with expensive purchases, designer clothing, and a house that reflects wealth and comfort, while his former wives navigate financial challenges and the demands of daily life with far fewer resources. Robin has often been seen wearing high-end fashion and accessories, while Cody himself is known to make lavish personal purchases. These public displays of wealth highlight the gulf between the current couple and those left behind. Mary and Janelle, for example, have shared glimpses of the financial adjustments they had to make post-divorce. They work hard to support themselves, manage households, and rebuild independence in ways that Cody and Robin do not have to. For viewers, this stark contrast creates a sense of frustration and even resentment. Fans have voiced concerns about the fairness of the situation, questioning how Cody can flaunt such extravagance while some of his former partners struggle to maintain stability. The disparities aren't limited to appearances. Behind the scenes, property disputes have become a major source of tension. The Coyote Pass property, a sprawling 14-acre ranch in Arizona, is at the center of ongoing drama. Purchased years ago when the family was still united, the property was meant to serve as a shared family home. But after Christine, Janelle, and Mary left the household, dividing the land fairly has proven complicated. Cody's refusal to make a clear decision or settle the matter equitably has left lingering resentment. Mary and Janelle are left waiting, unable to move forward, while Cody maintains control over what remains of the family's shared assets. Fans watching this unfold are not silent observers. They notice. Online discussions and social media conversations highlight how viewers feel about the imbalance. Many express frustration over what they see as Cody's selfishness and lack of fairness. They question his choices and wonder how his behavior impacts not only the family, but also the integrity of the show itself. What once was a story about polygamy, family growth, and navigating complex relationships has increasingly become a story about one man's ego, wealth, and decisions that leave others in hardship. Cody's lavish lifestyle, paired with his reluctance to address the property disputes, reinforces a narrative that viewers find hard to ignore. Luxury homes, expensive designer items, and high-profile spending paint a picture of success, yet the underlying conflicts, family alienation, financial inequity, and unresolved disputes remind fans that this wealth comes with serious consequences. It's a visual and emotional contrast that heightens the tension, showing the human impact of Cody's choices in real terms. This contrast also magnifies the emotional fallout. Mary and Janelle's struggles aren't just about money. They represent the loss of autonomy and fairness in a family that once relied on shared cooperation. Cody's behavior, while seemingly glamorous on the surface, has left cracks in trust, respect, and relationships. The unresolved disputes over Coyote Pass and the visible differences in lifestyles serve as constant reminders that wealth does not equate to happiness or fairness. Ultimately, this disparity forces viewers to confront a complicated truth. While Cody Brown's life may look secure and opulent, it exists in stark contrast to the struggles of those who were once equally invested in the family and the property. It's a story about imbalance, about consequences, and about how one man's choices continue to shape the lives of those around him in profound and often painful ways. The consequences of Cody Brown's choices extend far beyond his relationships with his wives. They ripple deeply through the lives of his children. Growing up in a household where favoritism and control shaped daily life left lasting marks on the Brown kids. Some felt the weight of being overlooked, while others gravitated toward Robin simply because she received the most attention. This uneven treatment created divisions that have persisted even into adulthood, and the family's cohesion has often been tested by feelings of resentment and frustration. Madison Brown, one of Cody's daughters, has spoken openly about how these dynamics affected her own life. She has described a sense of estrangement that grew over time, a need to establish boundaries with her father that were often met with resistance. Madison's perspective offers a window into the emotional toll of growing up under a parent who struggles to accept criticism and rarely reflects on his own mistakes. Her experiences highlight the challenges of navigating relationships with a father whose sense of authority sometimes overshadowed empathy, fairness, and accountability. Financial instability added another layer of stress. Even as the family gained fame and income from sister wives, the patterns of impulsive spending and risky investments continued, leaving children uncertain about resources and long-term security. Simple needs sometimes competed with extravagant purchases, and the imbalance between wealth and emotional support created an environment where children had to learn resilience early. The consequences weren't just material. They shaped how the children understood responsibility, trust, and family loyalty. Emotional neglect also played a significant role. When a parent prioritizes their own desires or indulgences over the emotional well-being of their children, it leaves a void. Some Brown children have struggled to reconcile public appearances of a happy, successful family with private experiences of tension, favoritism, and unaddressed grievances. The effects are subtle but profound. Difficulty in expressing needs, cautiousness in forming attachments, and lingering feelings of being undervalued within the family structure. Public reactions from the Brown children and ex-wives further underscore these challenges. Madison has shared insights in interviews and podcasts that reveal the strain caused by her father's actions, while Janelle, Mary, and Christine have occasionally addressed the lingering impact on their own children. Fans watching these revelations have expressed empathy and concern, realizing that the family's issues are not just reality TV drama, they are lived experiences with long-lasting emotional consequences. Ultimately, the story of Cody's children is a reminder that choices made by a parent echo far beyond their immediate actions. Favoritism, lack of accountability, and financial mismanagement don't just affect household harmony. They shape the next generation's sense of security, trust, and emotional stability. The Brown family's struggles illustrate that fame and visibility cannot shield a household from the real effects of uneven treatment, neglect, or unresolved conflicts. Cody's decisions have left an indelible mark on his children, and even as they carve out their own lives, the echoes of the past remain. Cody Brown's personal choices haven't stayed private. They've directly influenced the reputation of sister wives and reshaped how viewers perceive the show. What once captivated audiences with the unique story of a polygamist family navigating love, commitment, and compromise has increasingly become overshadowed by one man's ego and relentless need for control. Fans who once followed the Browns for their dynamic, unconventional family life are now expressing fatigue, frustration, and disappointment. The narrative of the show has shifted. Instead of celebrating resilience, teamwork, and the challenges of maintaining multiple marriages, the spotlight often falls on Cody's decisions, his lavish spending, and the tensions caused by favoritism and unresolved disputes. Social media conversations are filled with comments from viewers pointing out how Cody's behavior, his inability to take criticism, his insistence on control, and his public disparagement of ex-wives has made it difficult to relate to him as a family figure. The entertainment now comes less from shared family moments and more from watching conflict unfold, which has left some longtime fans feeling disconnected. Criticism of Cody is not just about entertainment value. It's about fairness, accountability, and how his actions affect the people around him. His lavish lifestyle, contrasting sharply with the struggles of his ex-wives and children, feeds a perception of selfishness and irresponsibility. Even when financial stability appears present, fans notice the imbalance, questioning the ethics behind his decisions and the treatment of those who were once equally part of the family unit. Sister Wives is no longer solely a story of polygamy and family life. It has become a cautionary tale about one person's inability to adapt and reflect, and the collateral damage it leaves behind. This shift has consequences for the show itself. Ratings are influenced not just by drama, but by viewer connection and empathy for the characters. When audiences feel that a central figure's actions are unfair, repetitive, or domineering, engagement can wane. Longtime viewers may stop watching, and new viewers might be less inclined to invest in the family's story. If Cody continues on his current path, prioritizing ego over collaboration, flaunting wealth while leaving others behind, and avoiding accountability, the show risks further decline. The tension that once felt human and relatable now risks feeling forced or morally troubling, which can diminish the emotional connection essential for reality TV. The broader implications extend beyond Sister Wives. Reality TV personalities are judged not only for what they show on camera, but for how their behavior resonates with viewers. When actions off camera or within the family contradict the principles or values audiences expect, it can tarnish reputations and even affect long-term career opportunities. Cody's story is a reminder that public perception is fragile. No matter how successful a reality star may appear, consistent displays of favoritism, irresponsibility, or disregard for others can shift admiration to skepticism, or even outright criticism. Ultimately, the question remains, How much longer can Sister Wives maintain its appeal if one person continues to dominate the narrative with selfish choices and unchecked ego? Fans, critics, and even former family members are watching closely, and the stakes are higher than ever. The show's future may hinge not on ratings alone, but on whether Cody's behavior evolves or continues to overshadow the family story that once drew viewers in. As we reach the end of Cody Brown's story, the lessons are clear and the consequences undeniable. His life, both on and off Sister Wives, shows how financial mismanagement, unchecked ego, favoritism, and a refusal to take responsibility can ripple through an entire family. Decisions made in pursuit of wealth, control, or recognition have real-world impacts. Impacts that aren't scripted, staged, or easily edited out. The money lost, the arguments sparked, and the emotional distance created leave marks that last far beyond what cameras capture. Cody's story reminds us that fame and fortune cannot protect a family from the effects of imbalance or poor choices. While he and Robin enjoy a life of luxury, the pain, frustration, and struggles experienced by Mary, Janelle, Christine, and even his children cannot be overlooked. The disparity between appearance and reality is stark, and it's a reminder that reality TV, as much as it entertains, often conceals a deeper, more complicated truth. Behind every luxurious home, designer purchase, or public appearance, there are real emotions, long-standing tensions, and human costs that the audience rarely fully sees. Favoritism, in particular, leaves deep emotional scars. When one family member consistently receives more attention, resources, or approval, it changes the dynamics for everyone else. In the Brown household, this imbalance created jealousy, alienation, and long-term resentment. Children and ex-wives alike had to navigate not only financial instability, but also the uncertainty of a parent whose decisions sometimes seemed self-serving. Madison's candid reflections about estrangement and boundaries highlight how even the closest familial bonds can be strained when respect and fairness are missing. For viewers, Cody's story is both cautionary and deeply human. It shows that leadership in a family is not just about control or public image. It's about accountability, empathy, and making choices that uplift everyone involved. Financial mistakes, emotional neglect, and favoritism are not just personal failures. They have consequences that touch every life connected to that household. The narrative forces us to reflect on our own lives, our own families, and the ways we manage resources, relationships, and responsibility. So, what do you think? How do you feel about Cody's choices, the impact on his family, and the consequences for sister wives? Have you ever seen similar struggles in your own family or among people you know? I'd love for you to share your thoughts in the comments below. Let's talk about accountability, fairness, and the human cost behind what we see on screen. Thank you for joining me on this journey through the Brown family story. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more updates, insights, and stories about the reality TV families you love to follow. Stay tuned, stay curious, and remember that behind every show, there's always a story that goes deeper than what meets the eye.